Hello everybody, John Felt here, and this is Immershman Seeds weekly weather briefing for the 17th of August 2019. I'm going to put out a Corn Belt wide summary probably in the upcoming week here where we stand, but overall some areas have received the needed rain as we've gone through the season, and other areas have certainly are trending dry, especially the eastern Corn Belt. We saw this pattern again last week where we had a more soaking rain over the western Corn Belt, more modest rain over the middle, and this was a needed rain in this area here. But then as we got into Michigan, parts of Indiana and Ohio, not nearly as much. So we look at the precipitation really where it was more soaking rain, where we saw was Nebraska, northern Kansas, western Missouri. This is that needed rain in parts of Illinois and then upper Midwest. But a large part of Iowa here this week only received about a quarter inch up to a half inch of rain. Dew points are generally about where they would be, or maybe even a little bit on the low side, with 60s and lower 70s. Really, we've been sort of hanging in that real high dew point over the south central U.S. in the middle 70s. So as far as precipitation goes, soil moisture, what you can see here is that trend that we've seen is we're trending back to a normal, but really the areas with the more above normal soil moisture are right in here. I think everything else other than that can probably use some more precipitation. Biggest area of expanding drought is over the south central U.S. from parts of Kansas, western Oklahoma, and large parts of Texas. Matter of fact, this area down here, they've had almost every day in the last 30 days above 100 degrees. So the tropics are pretty quiet right now. There is a system here, very unorganized, that could brush up the East Coast. It's not expected to do much. The Gulf is open. This is usually where if we get something that could bring that tropical moisture north, very quiet at the current time, so I don't expect anything over the next couple weeks, or at least the next week. So the story has been an active jet stream to the north and high pressure to the south. And really looking forward, I don't think that's going to change a whole lot. Matter of fact, if we look at this here, you can sort of see, look at your jet stream. Your strongest winds remain in this band right in here. And your ridge of high pressure pretty much extends right through here. Matter of fact, in week 2, it covers a large area here. So generally, I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of change from the overall pattern, with some occasional reinforcements of cool air over parts of the Corn Belt, and that warm weather being held in that ridge mainly off to the west. So you can sort of see here occasional reinforcing cold fronts, and each one of those reinforcing cool fronts will bring us our chance of some rain. You can see it over the next couple days. Here's the first one. It sort of stalls out. So we're going to have a lot of days with chancy rain. Now, even though the temperatures are probably pretty ideal for this time of year, considering the heat and humidity that's occurring in other spots of the country, especially the south central U.S., I do think that precipitation is more scattered, and it would be nice to have a little bit more widespread precipitation at this time. But at least we're getting some scattered precipitation. So we look at the week's rainfall forecast here. It looks like areas that have been the most active in the west, not quite as active. We get some action in this area here, and the purple is anywhere from 1 to 2 inches. But again, I think it's going to be quite variable and scattered. So it's hard to say that you're not going to get any rain with this. But overall, I think the area in Iowa, northern Illinois, northern Indiana, those are areas that could use that additional rain. This area, Missouri, that's wetter, maybe not as much so. Here's that tropical moisture sort of feeding its way up the East Coast. And most of the eastern Corn Belt, pretty quiet. Elsewhere, it looks like pretty much a typical August week, lots of chances. So you know the story way back early in the summer, I talked about my outlook for this prone to being sort of cooler than normal. And it's interesting, if you look at a global perspective, you might have heard that both June and July were the hottest months on record. Well, if you look at a global picture, and I'll try to put that out this week, you see that really we're sort of in an anomaly here with these cooler temperatures. And that looks like that's going to continue in the 6 to 10 day, and I don't see any excessive heat necessarily in the 8 to 14 day. Here are your precipitation outlooks, and this time of year the confidence isn't so high in these because they're such weak forcings, unless you get a real strong signal. So right now it looks like it could be continued dry in the 6 to 10 day range. That's a fairly strong signal over the eastern Corn Belt. Now, in case you missed it, I put out the long lead outlooks this week. Here's the 1 month. Look at this. This pattern is going to continue into September. Here's your precipitation. So we could very much have a near to a bit below normal month of September over most of the area with below normal precipitation. But then as we get into the core of fall months, above normal temperatures, equal chances, and that just means there's nothing sort of pushing the forecaster one way or another in that outlook. So overall, as far as threats go, I wanted to point out that some of the storms could be severe today, tomorrow, Sunday. So we have had some severe storm reports, damaging winds, primarily with some of the stronger storms, but they're isolated. And overall, some excessive heat pushing in the 19th through the 21st over this area. Severe weather on the 19th, some heavy rain. Overall, I think scattered issues. So in summary here, status quo of the pattern. Chance of rain from time to time. Some areas getting a soaking rain. Other areas not much at all. Temperatures somewhat variable, but most likely not a prolonged heat period, because it does look like a cool front will be coming through from time to time, especially over the northern Corn Belt and into parts of the central Corn Belt. That's this week's briefing, and I will be filling you in again next weekend. Take care.